everybody, every single person watching tonight, right now. Hello. Welcome, Stream Elements bot. You're my closest and dearest friend, and I appreciate everything that you do for this stream and this channel. Thank you so much. And thank you those who are watching after the live is all over, and just because you're curious and you want to see D&D stuff. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I like you. Think so. Probably. I mean, I can't guarantee it. But chances are that I really like you. So, what are we doing tonight? Well, we got a couple things. We got this big boy. So, I ran out of clear, and not clear, gray. I normally use gray resin. I've used clear before. Get him up a little closer so you can see he's this big bear guy. I've used clear before. I've used it in the past. I like to use it for invisible minis. Excuse me. Yeah. I like to use it for invisible minis. So I'll print out a player, and then I'll print out a clear one for them for when they go invisible, if it's like a thing that they like to do. I won't do them for every single mini ever, because that would be madness. It'd be easy to print. You know, you wouldn't have to paint it, so that'd be kind of crazy. But no, that would be madness. And I like clear resin. Clear resin works really well. The issue that I have with it is that it's difficult to clean up. So like, and it's not so much like it's harder to cut the clear resin or anything, but it's hard to tell what you're cleaning up. It just kind of all blends together, and there isn't much to go off of. So it's a little tricky in the pre-cleaning, but like once you spray paint it and you get a primer on it, it's pretty good. It's pretty easy to work with, and you get the added benefit that you could just use it for everything. I find that it cures better too. I think because when it's printing the layers, it's shining the UV light up through it, and it's like not only curing that layer, but it's also reinforcing the previous layer before it. It's my theory behind it anyway. So it seems to cure really well. I do have separate curing settings for that resin when I print in clear, because I do have to adjust the curing time a little bit to make sure it looks good, make sure it works out okay. But I do like it, and once you prime it, it paints just like just about anything else. Expressways and foreshores, welcome to the stream. I'm happy that you're here. Alright, well, now that we have said hello, and I've told you how much that I like you, which is a lot, let's go ahead and start painting. Well, let's go ahead and adjust our camera, because I'm apparently a noob. Holy cow. Alright, and let's get our reference image. We don't need that. We're not really doing reference image. Well, we'll probably do a reference image tonight, but we don't always need them. We're done with the Hydra. The Hydra actually turned out really good. If you missed the Hydra, it's over here. Bam, look at that big scary boy. Scary boy with scary teeth and his scary mouths. I think he turned out pretty good. It's not a masterpiece, but, you know, we're not painting a piano. Table ready. Table ready is what we want. I want it real and scary enough to make my players pee themselves just a little bit, so that they know that they're scared. Alright, let's see what we got. What we got going on. So we got a couple things on the menu tonight. We have the aforementioned bear. Do we have players in the chat tonight? we do not have players in the chat tonight, so I can tell you about this bear. So one of my, pardon while I mess with the mic, one of my, oop, his hand fell off. One of my players is a barbarian, and he is a totem barbarian, and has chosen the totem of the bear, which you do, because you get resistance on everything. And I'm going to have a little experience, a little event with him, where he's going to meet his totem, because it's not just like a class thing, it's a thing that he actually has to interact with. So we're going to use this instance to kind of develop his character a little bit, and he's going to meet his totem, and he's going to maybe have a little scruff with him. Maybe his totem's kind of like this alpha grizzly bear, and he's, you know, refers to his followers as his cubs. And so he's gonna, you know, rough up his cub a little bit, you know, like, hey, what you doing? You know, he's been watching him the past couple fights. He hasn't been very useful. You know, what's going on? You know, tighten up. And but you know, in a loving, wise grandfather sort of way. And so this is a first for me. Not the totem thing. I've done this totem thing before, but this mini that well, actually, it's a couple firsts. I bought this off of My Mini Factory. My Mini Factory. That's the word. First time I ever paid for a mini STL. And it came with these interchangeable hands. So it's got like, he's just got these fists. And the idea is you could like give him an axe and you could position it and then super glue it in, whichever way you want. I decided to magnetize them. So I took an X-Acto knife and kind of scrubbed a little pilot hole. Took this little drill bit just from like a wood drill bit and drilled it out. Filed it down nice and smooth with a needle file. And I did that for all of the hands. So he's got a left hand and a right hand. And they just snap in there. And one of the fun things is you can kind of turn them around. But it also has these two little axe hands now. So it's my hope is that during the encounter I'm going to drop him on the table and just have his hands there, and they're going to be like, oh, cool, you made my totem, you know, we'll have this cool encounter. And then he's going to be like, show me your strength. And then I'm going to swap him out. So he's like, double axes, and he's going to have like a cool little encounter with him. That's the hope. Just not going for fancy, even though it is kind of fancy. I'm just trying to wow the players a little bit. Plus, it's the first time I've ever actually magnetized on the mini itself. It's pretty common for especially like Warhammer minis where you can like swap out guns and swords and for different armament loadouts and stuff. So I'm not sure how that all is going to work. I mean, I guess I could kind of stick on there. I'd probably use blue tack to get these things to sit still so I can paint them. So we've got him. We're going to do him tonight. I don't know how far we're going to get. We've also got this little lady. This is Penny, one of our new players. She got the mini to me, and so, or the STL, and so I printed it off. And actually, it finished printing mid-game last Thursday, so I was able to drop it onto the table, like right in the middle of everything everybody was doing. So that was fun. So we're definitely gonna prime all of these. We might paint her too. Then we have this little cutie. I got this. This is a free STL from, I think it's a Patreon thing. I saw it on some YouTube channel. I can't remember. He's a really great guy. He does terrain and minis and stuff like that. Can't remember. Oh, that's going to annoy me. If I remember, I'll say it. She's like this little turtle druid. And I think she's going to show up, possibly going to show up in the Feywild. Where my players currently are, and maybe act as a bit of a guide. They need some direction. They need a Gandalf right now, something big and important that can kind of give them some guidance, help them out, leave, and then come back and kind of to help, because they're new players. It's not really to like control the party. It's just to kind of give them something to bounce off of, because right now their conversation is bouncing off each other and it's just going everywhere. It's just scattering to the wind. So it's just kind of to help them focus. So we got her. I actually already had this mini, like, printed off and everything. And I was looking for this druid character. I was like, you know, it'd be a really neat druid character to have for them to bounce off and all that stuff. And when I was buying that one online, I found this one too. This cool little Loxadon Druid. Has like this little leaf shawl. And I was like, that would be a really cool druid. So I bought him too because I'm a crazy person, and once I start spending money, you have to spend a significant amount or it just doesn't count, at least in my brain. So I bought this guy, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I found her, and I was like, well, she's perfect and is more of what I was really wanting, so I'm going to use her anyway. So we're going to go ahead and prime this guy. And then while I was like goofing around, I also found this guy, and he was free. Found him on Thingiverse, I think. And he's this Loxadon monk. I'm kind of partial to Loxadons. I really love them. They're really great. And I missed a little bit underneath here. It's hard to see in this clear resin. But I like how he's got like these floppy ears. They're kind of like being swept back on one side of him. He's just got a lot of dynamic action to him. I think that's really neat. So we're going to go ahead and get these guys primed. So let me scooch le mic over a fuzz. I'm not going to touch these guys. These are some guard drakes. They came up in the last game. They're probably going to come up again just because they're being generated by the mist that is in the Feywild. And they're probably going to become a staple enemy that they're going to run into. But we're not going to do them right now. Might do them Thursday. Not Thursday. Tuesday. When I stream next. Alright, so we need to scooch all of these guys out of the way. All of these out of the way. And we need to get my little ghetto spray booth. There we go. And do I want to spray these with primer? I already have white in here. I do not. Because I have a lot of them and I want to save time. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint these, prime them by hand. Prime them by hand, and then we'll actually spray paint them with the Zenithal highlight. We'll do that with the highlight. Alright, so we're going to magnetize these first. We don't have magnets on the bottom of them. There. We didn't do Penny. He's probably not even going to benefit. Oh, dang it. I feel like that's going to happen a lot. Where did that fist go? There it is. I need to figure out something storage-wise too, like a way to just like store these on the base so that I don't have to like, I don't lose them or something. It's an experiment. Alright, so let's grab our Vallejo Black Surface Primer. Get that out. We also need our super glue. We need our, not our Uncure. We want our Instacure. And magnets. Magnets make the world go round, the world go round, the world go round. Alright, so the way that we do it, I use one of these little guys just to get my polarity right. Slap that on there, snap it down, and then we'll do a little dab. I like to unscrew this and just use it as a dropper. Nice big drop on there. We'll do Penny first. Penny for your thoughts. Big ol' blob of super glue on there, and then hopefully it will touch the insta set and start to crystallize and fill in the gap and cure. In case you're wondering, I do also do like a Q&A, so feel free to ask questions in the chat. I do keep an eye on it. If you have any questions about D&D, I am a DM by trade. Well, by hobby. I'd love to get paid to be DMing. Man, that would be the dream. But I've been DMing for a number of years, off and on. I've gone through 2 year-long campaigns, off and on with like side campaigns. Like my friend will DM a game with our work group, and then I'll kind of like have a little side game for when he's burnt out, or if we have scheduling conflicts and don't have enough players, I have like a side thing that I run. So I've run that for a number of years. So got a decent bit of experience. I'm definitely still a student of the craft. Alright, let's hope it took. Yeah, there we go. Nice. So now we are magnetized. And we can just pop that onto there and paint to our heart's content. 3 more times. Slap that on there. Get us some Bob's Instaset. The reason I do this instead of just gluing it is because I want the magnet to be flush with the surface, with like the tabletop. I custom print these 3D print these bases, and I like the depth of this is too thick, like the magnet will be kind of recessed if I just like flip it over, drop some glue and stick a magnet on it. It won't make contact with the metal. So I do this so that it like creates a glue barrier between the plastic and the magnet. I'm trying to think of things to talk about because watching glue dry is just not fantastically interesting. Unless you think watching glue dry is fantastically interesting, then by all means. So I'm looking at ways of, like I said, kind of getting my party focused. I'm running a game that's Lost Mines of Phandelver. There's a couple of VODs on the channel if you're interested in watching it. There's a lot of kids. There's like a couple of kids and a baby in the background, so be mindful of that. If you're triggered by noisy children, probably not for you. But we're kind of going for what an actual table looks like, rather than a polished production. And really, it just started because a couple of our players were gone and they were going to miss the game. And so we wanted to be able to include them and let them watch. But people have been enjoying it, so we just kept streaming. But they started off with, we were going through the Lost Mines of Phandelver. And I was kind of running it as a Lost Mines of Phandelver plus, like, you know, with just a bit of a twist on it, because Phandelver is really great. I actually really like it, but I felt like I needed to fix a couple things. Like you don't really see the big bad guy until the very, very, very end, and so I like stories that end where they begin. So you have that callback at the end. And you're like, oh man, that reminds me of the beginning, and it like pulls all of the memories together, and it's a really neat storytelling device. So I tweaked it around a little bit, and they ended up like you do in D&D, they ended up like going way off the rails and killing one of the bad guys' lieutenants early on, and I mean they've had a blast, and there was like nothing wrong with that, but it's just been going off the rails for a long time, and they completely sidestepped like the majority of the plot, and to their knowledge, they've kind of beat the bad guy without really having to do anything to him. They kind of thwarted his plot from beneath his feet. So, but they want to keep playing, so now I'm kind of trying to feel them out, like what they want to do and what they want to pursue. And so as a DM, I'm just kind of like following them. I'm kind of letting them lead and see where the story goes. Hey, Lucram. Welcome to the chat. So I'm kind of following their lead, excuse me, seeing where they want to go. A couple of things have come up. We've had a couple characters from a previous campaign get tied in, which is always fun. Bonjour, bonjour, monsieur, monsieur. But since they're new players, they don't really know what they want to do. They don't really, it's like they almost have a very short attention span. One game they'll be like, oh, the villagers, we got to save the villagers, and so they'll run and do a thing to save the villagers, and then the next game they're like, oh, a crazy interdimensional staircase, let's go there, and then they forget about the villagers, and then the last game there was like, well, let's forget about the interdimensional staircase. Hey, Brad Chan, the fanboy. Welcome to the chat. Then they're like, oh, well, this door leads to the Feywild, so now we're going to the Feywild. So they're just very unfocused, and it's perfectly fine to do that. Man, how many alt accounts do you have, Lucram? Yeah, so it's very they're very unfocused, and so they just need some guidance as new players to kind of help tighten that up. Oh, I gotcha. You renamed it. Don't forget to mute the tab, not the stream, if you're going to let that account lurk. There we go. And then bear. So, we're gonna encounter a druid in the Feywild. At least that's the idea. I haven't written out the encounter yet. I've been actually intentionally not writing a lot of future stuff and setting it in stone because I don't know where they're going to go, and they're they don't really know where they're gonna go. So I've just been focusing on what's in front of them. I hope I lined that up just right. So I think the goal tonight is to try and get all these guys here primed, and then I'm probably going to focus on painting the druid. I think the druid is top priority, and then Penny. I'll probably do Penny after that. Maybe I'll do like base coats on Penny and the bear. We'll see. I've only got 2 hours though. It's not a lot of time. We have to Zenithal highlight these two. Brad and Luke, were you here when I was talking about the how I magnetized this guy? Did I show you that already? Like before the stream? I put magnets in his wrists. And so they just go boop and they snap on. And I have it so I can swap it out with his axe. And I have one for the other hand too. It's not a super duper strong magnet, so it kind of wobbles a little bit, but I'm hoping that once there's some paint on there, it'll make it a bit more sticky instead of it like wobbling so much. But the fists snap in there nice and tight. Alright, so now they are based. Let's put the super glue away and the Instaset. Let's pull out a crappy brush. Don't use a good brush for priming. You want something big and wide that covers a lot and that you don't care if it gets trashed, because the pigment in primer is like very it's very fine. And it'll get into the barrel and expand and dry and push the glue out. So let's get her done first. All right. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is just dip a little bit out of the cap here. This mic, I can never find a good spot for it. Oh, I don't have my light on. There we go. Just going to give her a nice coat. Nice coat of black. I'd like to experiment with some gray primer. I keep saying it, I should just go ahead and buy a bottle. I'm kind of waiting for this stuff to be over, but in all honesty, or this bottle to be empty, but in all honesty, I should probably just like get some and try it. And then if I don't like it, I'll still have some black. I love all the little details in this lady. It's got like this little dragonfly on her hand, and on her little rod over here she's got this beehive. Hey, Andre. Welcome to the stream. Did you get to watch last week's game? So if you are interested in watching it, like going back and watching it, the VOD is on the channel. If you just go to twitch.tv/WashBrunello, it'll be under the videos section. And if you don't have a lot of time, like when you watch it in the VOD section, you can set it to like 1.5 speed or like 1.25 speed and watch it quickly. It was a pretty good one. The combat towards the end got a little slow, but there were some pretty cool moments. The dinosaur moment was pretty awesome. All right, that's her. Out of the way, cat. Let's go ahead and get Penny. Do my audio levels sound okay? Nice. So one of the tricks with, or one of the caveats, or just little things that I've noticed with painting on clear resin. You ever play with Legos and they have like those clear lights or like the clear little antennas? And it's like light will shine down through the side, but if you look at the end of it, like if you're looking at like this, it's just colored. But if you look at like this, it's like super bright because it's like a light tube. It sucks light in the side and shoots it out the end. It's just kind of the way that they chemically work. I've had that happen with these, where it's like if you don't, like if I paint the whole thing, it'll be nice and black and primed, and it'll take the paint very well. But if I, for some reason, like accidentally break a piece off, and there's an exposed piece of raw resin, or if I am just not paying attention and I don't paint a certain spot and light shines into there, it'll like scatter through the whole thing, and almost like you can, like the light will shine out through the paint. It's kind of weird. It's not super duper bright, but it's like noticeable. It's kind of interesting. I had it happen to one of my spiders. You can kind of see it here. It is. Hey, Remington. You can see that like shiny part there where the leg broke. That's actually clear, and if you let the light like shine through it, it'll like light up underneath in certain spots. It's kind of weird. Yeah, I really like Vallejo's surface primer. I'm brushing it on so that I don't have to clean my airbrush. And see how it gets up in the barrel? It's so thin and it gets everywhere. It'll mess up good brushes. So don't use good brushes. Out of the way, badger. And cat. And other cat. Remington, you've probably done this before, but this was the first time I've magnetized a mini, like, for interchangeable hands. Kind of excited to see how it works. Or, like, how well it operates. Yeah, I do that too. I don't use inks, but I use, like, washes. So I guess it's kind of like the same principle, where it's like translucent and it just tints the resin. It makes for a really cool effect. One thing that I do like to do, I have some paint. It's just some apple barrel paint that I got a long while ago, but it's called opalescent, and it's like metallic but white. It's just like straight white. And what I like to do is after I paint it, or after I like hit it with the wash to give it the color and tint it, I'll dry brush it with a little bit of opalescent, and it kind of gives it this shimmery dusting, kind of like, I don't know, it kind of makes it look magical. This is not doing very well on that base. I'm just gonna, or that holder, I'm just gonna use it on here. And so here you can see where it's like I've painted on the back, and once you turn it over, it's like really light over here and on the arm, but it's getting darker here because the light's not shining through on the back where it's been painted. And so sometimes when it gets really dark like this, because you're painting all around it, sometimes you can miss spots because it already looks dark. So you just have to be a little careful with how well you cover it. Try to keep track and be a little methodical about your coverage. Remington, you playing Satisfactory tonight? Man, that game's fun. I've really enjoyed hanging out with you in Discord and playing it. It's a good game. I really like Factorio, like with how well it does automation, but I do like the first person perspective of Satisfactory. I like how it's like it's automation, but you like climbing over all of your stuff. And I like the way that it presents the scale. I guess it's okay to paint over the magnets. It doesn't look like it's sticking to it very well anyway. I'm kind of wondering if once I paint this, like having the hand in there rotating around, if it's going to... Ginger chews. That sounds delicious. I wonder if it's going to like rub off some of the paint. But, I mean, I guess it'll be on the inside, so it shouldn't matter too much. Is that like candied ginger? I've had candied ginger before. It's pretty nice. I don't know how late you're staying up tonight. I'll be stopping the stream at 11. But if you're going to be playing some Satisfactory after that, after 11, I'll probably hop on and join you. Like gummies. Oh man, that sounds even better. That almost makes me think of like the chewy candied pineapple that you can get at like gas stations or like at candy stores. Where it's kind of like... It's kind of like pineapple that's been candied, but it's like it's not crunchy and dried out. Nice. This mini has such good detail. I'm used to getting STLs from like MZ4250. By the way, he does really good work and deserves everybody's support. But this is like the first model that, since this is the first model that I actually bought from like my mini factory. Why do we keep saying factory? It's just got really good detail. It was also pre-supported, so I just like grabbed the STL, sliced it, threw it on a USB drive, popped it on the printer, and it was like done in 6 hours because it's a bit tall. And I was pretty impressed. I've been kind of cautiously optimistic about pre-supported minis because I've got a Photon Zero and the layer height is different on my printer than it is on like Photons and like the standard resolution printers. It just makes me a little apprehensive because the like there are, when I slice a mini, there are layers that would be islands. If you've watched me support minis before, you'll know what I'm talking about. There are islands that would be, so like when it slices mine into layers, it slices them into thicker layers because it's a lower resolution. And on a photon, there are places where it would be an island, but on mine it would not be an island. So it's kind of like it shifts a little bit because of the layer thickness. And so I've been kind of worried a little bit about, like, you know, if I get a mini that's been supported with other layer heights in mind, like, can I just, you know, drop it on mine and print it off and it'll be okay? And it was a little weird, I'm going to be honest. When I, like, it printed out fantastic. It's almost too good to be true, if I'm being perfectly honest, because it printed off fantastically. Like, the quality is great. There wasn't really any like dripping or clipping or anything. But half of the supports were completely disconnected, like all up under the wrists and up under the feet. Like, they were just disconnected. It was almost like they were connected, and then once it printed the model, the force was so much that once it got towards the end, it started pulling them and detaching them. And I don't know if that has like negatively affected it in a way that I'm not aware of or whatever, but it was like actually cool because I didn't have to like clip and cut off supports. They just like almost detached themselves, and it just like worked. And I was like, well, that's cool. Bank error in your favor, I guess. But I don't know if that's normal or if that was like intended. If that was intended, holy cow, that's cool. Let me get some blue tack. On a resin printer, they're peeling away from your build plate. Or on your FDM. Interesting. I have run into that in a couple instances with bigger minis, where the suction, where it'll just have a whole bunch of surface area, and the suction, when it pulls it away from the screen, will pop it loose. In those instances, what I do is you want to make sure that, like, if it's a large mini, hollow it out, and that will remove some of the mass. You can also add more layers. Add more supports. Well, no, but if like the pad is detaching, I know that there's a setting where you can like increase the cure time for the first like 10 layers or so. Actually, let me pull it up and see what mine is set to. And I have mine set for like the first 5 layers or so is a minute of curing time. Let's see, bottom layers exposure time is 60 seconds, and the first 3 layers are considered bottom layers. So maybe check that setting out, just so that those initial layers are cured really, really hard. It also might be that you just don't have enough surface area for that base to adhere. One thing you can do if you're printing smaller stuff, where it has like a smaller surface area, is when you stick them on the plate, you can touch them so that the bases touch together. That way it creates one big point of suction. Guys, shout out to Lucrom for being a fantastic mod. Without your expertise and knowledge of the Twitch community, I don't think I would be anywhere near where I am right now. Alright, let's do the Loxadon Druid next. The second mini that STL that I've paid money for. The first one being that bear. I really like Loxadons. They kind of have a soft spot for them. I like big old lumbering elephant people. Gentle giants. I say gentle, but of course, you know, a Loxadon could also be... A Loxadon Barbarian would actually be pretty rad. I thought about building a Loxadon Barbarian when I did Malabar. He ended up being a Warlock, but because there was like a, you know, Barbarians get unarmored defense. Well, Loxadons also have like a thick-skinned, I forget exactly what the racial feature is called, but they have like an unarmored defense type thing, and those don't stack. Oh, interesting. Man, Hall of Champions was pretty rad. I kind of miss it. I kind of loved how it turned in from just like a battle coliseum into, you know, a bit of a mini campaign. And plus, every player, I don't know a single player that doesn't love magical items. And boy, did you guys get showered with, what was it? Jordan's character ended up getting a like a +3 longsword, just because it was like random. And it was like, well, I guess he's the equivalent of 5 levels higher than everybody else now. Or, you know, that's hyperbole, but. So I had a couple really cool moments in the game last night. Not last night, last Thursday. I really liked the part with where we introduced Penny. We kind of had her flashback a little bit to her backstory, and I had a little RP experience with her and her guy friend. I don't know if she has stated his relationship, whether he's like her husband or boyfriend or whatever. She's a really good role player. Like, she thinks about that kind of stuff. I think she's still working on like her delivery. You know, like making things in character rather than just stating it with her own voice. And by voice, I don't mean like the way that her voice sounds. I mean like the way that she talks. Because that's a really tricky thing to do, and it's actually a really cool thing to learn. Like, if you want to give characters, whether they're NPCs as a DM or like as a player, if you really want to give characters a different voice, look into how people talk, not necessarily different ways of, like, types of speech. Like, for example, somebody who is not educated, and I don't mean like dumb or something like that, but somebody who's not necessarily well educated might say world when talking about Earth. You know, like, it's a great big world. They might say world instead of planet, because planet is more scientific. World is more like generic. And so it's like, even if I use the same cadence and the same tone and I said, it's a great big world out there, as opposed to, it's a great big planet. That's like, you know, like, it's different. It comes across differently. And there's different charts and graphs of those kinds of words. Even if you were to, like, and it's not a completely unreal or like a strange concept either. You know, like, if you're gonna play a robotic character like a Warforged or something, all you have to do is, like, you know, do like Lieutenant Commander Data and don't speak with contractions. I'm sorry, I cannot help you. That won't work properly. I will not be able to comply. This is just my regular voice. You don't have to be monotone and try to be robotic. All you have to do is just say cannot, will not, have not, I am not able, instead of I'm not able. So there's different ways you can do it like that. Alright, now we're Loxadon Monk Boy. You know what? I'm gonna put him on the back burner. We're already an hour in. Holy cow. We're gonna save him for a rainy day. Oh wait, I need to do... Save him for a rainy day. And let's blue tack these axes and get these guys done. So I'm curious if I can fish you guys for a little bit of like, if I can question you guys a little bit. I would love to hear, like, what your favorite character moment in D&D has been. I think I've played in games with pretty much all of you. Let me check the chat real quick. Everybody except for Expressways and Foreshores. I've pretty much played a game with all of you. And I'm curious what your favorite cool thing or part in a game that we've played in before. What's your favorite D&D player moment? And if nobody says anything, I'm just going to start rattling off my favorite ones about your characters. We'll let the chat catch up a little bit. Yeah, I was gonna say, that interaction with your bear totem, that was pretty rad. I'm excited to see what comes out of Drew's in our next game. But yeah, when you judo flipped him and everybody was watching on, and it was just like your little totem floating out in the air, because it was like a spiritual encounter. I think for your character, Lucrom, I think my favorite part with Karkos, I actually think I have two favorite parts with him. Favorite story part, I think, is the is where you put the Star Ruby against your rose tinted glasses and saw like hundreds of years into the past. But like action scene, I think Lucrom, that my favorite Karkos Copperback scene was him twinning 2 lightning bolts down the cave and just like decimated hundreds of Modrons that were minions, so they just insta-killed and just like took out an entire army in like one action. Trying to think, Remington, of my favorite Stefan moment. That part where you were posted up in that collapsed church building sniping guys while Rurik was just down below going ham with his sword was pretty cool. You were just like picking guys off, one like totally just Legolasing them. I really liked Stefan's build. Like, I know that it was like feast or famine with him, where he would either like hit like a truck or he would misfire like crazy. But I thought that was like, I thought that gave a lot of really cool RP moments where it's like, well, my thing broke. Yeah, your dice definitely loved you that day. That was really rad. Okay, there's those guys. All right, so he's all done, and he turned out so great. Look at that detail. He's even got like this little Celtic crisscross pattern on his bracers. And I really like the thing that really sold me on this one was the belt. I love the tummy sucking in belt. I'll let these guys dry off a little bit. They're a little goopy. Just a little goopy. She is actually a little goopy too. She's got some inside there. That is the downside of brushing on primer. That it goes on thick and it takes a little while to dry. Are these guys done? Yeah, those guys are done. Fist bump. the very crossbow, that you have to insult it and make a charisma check, and it'll do an extra fire damage because it's all hot and bothered. Not hot and bothered, mad, like hot and mad. Oh no, I said that on the internet and now it's out there forever. That wasn't what I meant to say. I'm sorry. Don't clip that. Alright, now for Ghetto Paint Spray Booth. Ghetto Paint Spray Booth. Da na na na. Do 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 do. Hey. Oh, Andre and Brad. I remember a cool moment with your characters, Ankles and Fang. Hey guys, do you remember that time that you took your Frostbrand hammer and your Flame Tongue halberd and you hit them together and did a great big kaboom that involved rolling all of your dice at the table and nearly killed you? But it was really, really awesome and really, really cool. And how it left a great big crater in the ground. That was really fun. Yeah, it was pretty great. They stole these magic items from a couple Dragonborn that were admittedly not great guys. They were not, you know, they were bad dudes. But they like totally kicked their butts, left them with their lives, but totally ganked their magical items. And so they took this this Frostbrand warhammer and this Flame Tongue halberd, which was incredibly overpowered for like level 2 characters. Thanks, Luke. And it kind of broke the balance of the game a lot, but it also created a ton of fun, like just a ton of fun. And yeah, so there was like a thing that the two Dragonborn could do where they would clash them together, and if they both hit properly and there was like some other caveats, it would just like erupt into this huge explosion of fire and cold. It was pretty rad. Why isn't it painting? Going out a little bit. Not much, though. Why aren't you coming out? You're supposed to come out. Let me get a Q-tip. It was alright. Nah, man. It was awesome. You just think it was all right because you had a magic broom instead of a super duper fancy awesome weapon. That's not right. It's like coming out super speckly. Man. What is going on? Maybe it's something at the tip again. I mean, it looks a little gummy. And I see paint's coming out. I wonder if there's stuff that's like deeper inside that's being problematic. Probably gonna have to pull the whole needle out sometime and clean it. It's like all sputtery. That actually seems a little better. I wonder if that creates like some back pressure. You mean I should have been using the cap this whole time? Kappa? Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Honestly, I probably won't. I don't use this thing very often, except for when I do zenithal highlighting. But hey, man, I super appreciate that. That's very generous. I've been using this thing for about a half a year now, and I've never had this much trouble. I probably just need to like really just take it apart and clean it. I did it once and I almost didn't get it put back together. Oh man, that just sprayed all over. Yeah, there's definitely something wacky going on with this. What kind of airbrush do you have, Remington? I've heard that Awadas are very, very good. So I kind of want to get an Awada. Like, I don't know if they're top tier, but I've heard that they're reliable, and they don't jam, and or they don't clog, or whatever the term is. I've just heard really good things about them. Alright, well this has just turned into the airbrush cleaning stream. Let me see if I can... Maybe if I can get her airbrushed, then we can just call it good and start painting her a little bit. Nope, now it's not even coming out. Awesome. Alright, well, I hate this thing with all of my heart right now because it's not working. So I'm going to take it apart. This has just become the airbrush cleaning stream. I profusely apologize. Hey, ANMCC, welcome to the stream. Have you been on here for a little bit? I'm gonna rinse this out. I'll be right back. Krios. I am Krios, God of War. All right, so let's take a look at how to take these things apart. They're kind of neat. Normally you don't have to detach the compressor. But you got this little guy on the front. I don't know the name of it. There's that piece. And then this comes off. And then flip it around and this comes out. This adjusts. This is like a stopper for this little guy here. If you tighten it in, it'll like stop halfway. If you loosen it up, it'll go all the way out. Take this guy off. And the way that this little trigger pulls, it's very, like, it'll slide out this way. It's a little particular. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to loosen this up. This little nut that comes off. And then the needle should just come straight out. And this, oh, that's probably it right there. Look how dirty and gummed up that is. It almost looks corroded. I don't think it is, but it almost looks corroded. But so essentially the way it works is that you've got air coming around here. The air blows through here, and then this is hollow, and there's paint in there, and then this is tapered, so when the needle is all the way through there, see, it comes out. See, it goes boop and comes out the end, and it's tapered, so when you pull the trigger, that pulls the needle in, which creates room around there and lets the paint dribble out, and then the air that's coming out from here carries it in this jet stream like a donut around it and pulls the air out. I mean, pulls the paint out. So I'll bet that this thing, oh, see, that's, well, That's because I had paint in there. There's also, like, if you look in here, right through the center, there's like this dark strip. It's like nice and shiny on the side, and it's dark in the middle, because that's where the needle, you can see it. See, there's the needle. And it'll get stuff up underneath it, because you can't wash, you know, like underneath the needle. But I bet it having friction here is what is keeping the paint from flowing around. So let's get some, nope, that's the wrong drawer. Let's pull this drawer out. Let's get some Airbrush Cleaner. Oh, I'm getting low. There's a little bit left. Just kidding, I got a big fat bottle. Well, up on the tip there, I guess that's the nozzle. No, I just use my fingers. Unless this is, no, this is like all one molded piece. Unless you can like get in there and remove that. I've never, well, I think, I don't remember. I think if you unscrew this, it all comes out. Yeah, see, that's like this little spring-loaded flipper that goes like that, and then this kind of turns to the side and comes out. And it looks like I do have some paint stuck up inside there. You can kind of see it like right inside there. I'm probably doing this like a total noob. But that's how I do it. I'm just gotta get in there and scrub it up, dub. Yeah, it's a soft metal. Yeah, I've yet to actually mess with that. Does it get pretty grody up in there? I probably need to be better about running cleaner through it once I'm done using it, because I think the... Oh man, so you like messed up one of them initially? That's a bummer. Because I think the paint dropping in there and kind of goobing around and drying up is what's been causing the issue. Oh, sorry about that. I know all about neck and back pain. Thanks for hanging out, Lucrom. Thanks for being a good mod. Good night, my friend. All right. Let's get a little bit of Airbrush Cleaner on the needle. Should really watch a video on like how to properly clean this up. Oh my. I do that with pens. Like, I've yet to own a pen that I haven't taken apart. Like, even before I use it. That stuff is really caked on there. I almost feel like I should put some sandpaper to it and just kind of scratch it off, but I'd be worried I'd like mar the or score the metal and make it stick to it worse next time. I definitely see black paint on there though. Here we go. Now comes the fun part, where I try to actually put it back together. There's a lot of gook in there. Alright, so the tricky part is getting this guy in. So let's drop him in. He goes sideways. This goes like that. That creates our little flapper. And then this goes around that to hold the spring. There we go. Hey, I got it that time. And then this, where does this go? That goes on the outside. This goes here, and that cinches down on the needle. That, and then this will tighten out of there, because when you tighten that, it lets this piece grab onto the needle and actually hold it and pull it. And then we need to get this guy to cover up that, and then this goes in the back as our stopper. Looks like there's also a rubber seal on there. I wonder if it keeps air from leaking out the back. Right there is the max. And then let's clean this off a little bit. There we go. What time are we at? 10:24. We're probably going to get to base coat a little bit. Alright, that's back on. That back on. Let's get our compressor. Set up a paper towel. We'll dump a bunch of cleaner in the top. Shake it up. Just blow all that cleaner out. One more to rinse it out a little bit. Oh, definitely loosened up some chunks in there. I think it needs some water pressure. I'm gonna go hit this in the sink real quick. There we go. I think that's pretty close. Let's see if it does better. If it doesn't, I'm gonna go to bed or go to play Satisfactory instead, because that would be frustrating. Okay. Ghetto spray box. Activate. Bombay White India ink. Dropper bottle. Drop. Drop. Drop the base. Base. Alright, let's see how she does. Can't see it too well. It's a little speckly, but it's definitely coming out. Better than it was before, so I'm going to call that a net positive. Holy cow, it's really speckly. It's not even doing anything. Wow, that is terrible. Why is it so much worse now? I guess if I go kind of nice and slow, it gets a decent cover. Maybe it's starting to even out a little bit. Or maybe it's just lighter, so you can't really tell. That's a little better, actually. Still kind of speckly. I'd like to prime them in gray so that the contrast between the highlight and the shadows isn't so stark. So what I've been doing is after I do the zenithal highlight, I'll kind of turn them to the side and hit them sideways a little bit and just lighten up the really dark spots, but it still like preserves some of the shadow. There it goes. Maybe the paint just needed a second to get flowing. That's getting speckly again. Kind of not sure what to do with these hands anyway, because if they rotate, the shadows are should change. I might just have to do these without shadows. Maybe I can just give them like a nice generic shadow or shine across the blade. Now I need to get these guys. Little fists. Oof, that's splattered all over the place. It's almost like it gets built up in here, and then like a big bubble, and then it just like poof, shoots off. Off with a boof. Yeah, that's good. Good enough for me, because I'm frustrated with it. What the heck? I cleaned the nozzle out and now it's like not even spraying. Forget that. They're not getting Zenithal highlight. Sheesh. You taking off, Brad? I thought you were saluting to sign off. You know, I have some flow improver, but I've just never needed it before when working with ink. Maybe I should try using it with my ink. This is the downside of airbrushes, is that cleanup and prep just take a long time. If you're doing a bunch of minis, it can be worth it time-wise, but if you're just doing like one or two. Druid. It's a bunch up here. I wonder if I should like get a little glass container for this airbrush cleaner and like soak this stuff in it. Because it is very, very stuck on there. Almost there. You know what? I'm going to let that little bit of soap hang around in there. Maybe that'll help clear it out. Break up some of the gunk. If not, well, it's not worse than it is. Alright, we've got 15 minutes. Let's see if we can get some paint on something for Pete's steak. Pete's steak? Wow. That's what kind of day today's been. Alright. This lovely little lady. Let's make some snap decisions on colors. I'm thinking a warmer green, or like a blue, not a warmer green, but cooler green, like a blue green. This is dark green by, is this Vallejo? Yeah. Vallejo dark green. And it's kind of like a bluish jungle green. And I should have cleaned off that palette a little bit because it just got a bunch of crud on my paints. I like the way that this kind of gives a little bit of a mottled look. There's the shell. Now for her skin, we're going to add a little bit of yellow to this. And actually the way I think we're going to do it is take a little bit of this green as our mother color and add it to this yellow over here. I've painted a few turtles before, and it seems to work best when their shell and their skin are different colors. Like you don't just want it like all a samey bit of brown, bit of brown, green. Wow, what in the world? You don't want it to be like the same green. Browns and yellows are really good to interject into green colors to mix them up for turtles. And I'm thinking, she's got like this cool sash around her waist. And I'd like a nice vibrant color for it. But she is a druid, so like a tan or a brown might actually be neat. But I was thinking like a blue or like something. I don't know. My mind went to blue, but that's not very druidish. Or like it's not very like nature-y. Now you may be asking yourself, John, how did you just like decide colors for a turtle? Well, I have painted a couple, like I said earlier, but actually my mental reference for them is Ninja Turtles. I used to have Ninja Turtle action figures when I was a kid, and I liked how they all had different skin tones. Like Michelangelo's was very light and yellow. I think Donatello's was like more of like a brown, like a darker brown. One of them was like really bluish. All right, that part on her neck is actually her scarf. And I remember thinking that was really, really neat. Kind of stuck in my head. So the first time I started painting a turtle, I think it was a turtle monk. I was like, oh yeah, we gotta get some Ninja Turtle colors on here. She's very sweet and very old. I think I'm gonna make her like very old and wise. Maybe she speaks with a slow cadence. There's a turtle that I think everybody hates. I don't know. Maybe that's just me projecting. In Neverending Story, when Atreyu, it's the sad part where Atreyu goes to the swamp of sadness, I think is what it's called. Oh wait, no, that's not a scarf. That like hangs down from her headdress. So that is her neck there. Interesting. Anyway, Swamp of Sadness. So Atreyu spends some time, like he's looking for this wise person to give him an answer, and this ends up being this big turtle. And the turtle kind of talks like this. We don't care. And it's very nihilistic and whatnot. And I think that would, like, that scene is just burned into my memory just because. So I'll probably use that as like a mental anchor. But just less pessimistic, you know. Of course, if she's a druid, she's probably like neutral good. Or maybe even chaotic good, caring about the forest. And the creatures. And just like, you know, things naturally die and stuff. But I want her to be like sweet and likable, and I don't want the players to be like, man, she's a jerk, and to like ruin the experience of the encounter because they might not get, you know, a chaotic alignment. But I think that would be fun. Oh, good to see you. Welcome to my tree. And I think it'd be fun to have her, like, in a tower or, like, at the top of a really big tree. Above the miasma that's, like, plaguing the Feywild right now. I was watching you. What are you doing here? You aren't from around here. What should I name her? What's a good old turtle druid name? Any recommendations in the chat? Anybody want to look up fantasynamegenerators.com and run a couple of Emily's turtle name generators and see if we can pick out a good one? So I think I thought this was initially like a beehive. I think it's actually like a bottle in a net. My name is... What is it? I need your recommendations. I like it. I like how she's got a little dragonfly on her finger. I like how she's got a little snail. Samik or Wana. Gulpit. Samik. I'm... Call me Miss Gulpit. Keep them coming, Brad. I think we're on the right path. Would that be Nino or Nenal? Or Nenel? Neno? Does Nenel sound good? Nino? Old Lady Nino? Wanna Snapjaw. Doral. I think that's it. And she can be referred to as Miss Dory. I think that's it. Doral. Not old pig, new pig. No, I think that's it. Doral. I like it. Miss Doral. Miss Doral. I like it. Dory. What about just Dorothy? Is Dorothy too much of an actual name? Dorothy the turtle. All right, and I'm thinking, I think I want to do the blue. Oops. 11:02. I think we have some time to go over just a little bit. Now that we're actually in the fun part and we're almost at time, we're over time. I'm going to try something. I'm going to try to mix a little bit of this dark green. Just a little bit. We'll use a little bit as our mother color. If you've never heard of a mother color, it's actually a very old concept. And what it is when you're working on an art piece, you pick one color as your mother color, and you mix it into, like, in various amounts, sometimes just a little, sometimes a lot, into all of your other colors. And it almost, like, makes all of the colors tied together and seem familiar and like that they intentionally work together. I don't even know if I'm using it properly or correctly or whatever, but I like this color that's come out of it. It looks really nice. All right, and now for her headdress. I think that she's probably supposed to be like a gypsy or something, maybe? I don't know, because she's got like these coins and stuff. But druids don't really do metal. All right, Brad, thanks for hanging out. Have a good night. But I think I'm going to go back to some of this red that I used on that dragonfly. Maybe I should mix in a little bit of the mother color. What do you think? What was that? go. I think she looks really cool. And that's at least good for like base coating her tonight. I like how colorful she is. I don't know if I like that purple on her belt. But or like on her chest piece or whatever it is. I'm gonna put a little white on her eyes and then call it a night. There we go. She's adorable. And I think I'm gonna paint over the purple with the dark blue. Yeah, I like that better. It's almost like a purpley dark blue, but that's... I didn't like how it was the same color as the snail. Like, that just didn't feel right. Like, why would she color coordinate her clothes with a snail? Alright, there she is. Little Doral. Maybe you'll come by next time. Maybe next Tuesday and watch me get paint the rest of the way. I love you guys very much. Thanks for watching the stream. See you next time. Y'all be good.